Bad music in the program. This is that.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please do a big Famous Monsters Fest 2024 welcome to Wednesday 13 at Ogre!
You hear that guy? He's great.
Fucking great.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you both for joining us here today and for taking part in this Q&A. It's always a pleasure to get a chance to talk to you both. And so I have a few questions, and then we'll open up to the audience.
Hey.
I think I met most of you.
So of course we're here at Famous Monsters, and I know, talking over the years, Famous Monsters has had a big impact on both of you when you were growing up. Can you kind of talk to what Famous Monsters meant to you, and kind of what was your first experience reading it years ago?
I'll let you go. All right. I mean, for me, mine's not short.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, but it's real. I'm from North Carolina, and seeing like magazines like this, like seeing Fangoria or Famous Monsters for the first time, it was like seeing pornography. What is it? So I think my first take with Famous Monsters was doing a tape trade with someone, and they're like, hey, I'll trade this magazine for that Kiss tape or whatever. I'll be that. So I had Fangoria and Famous Monsters, but I kept it in my backpack so I didn't want my parents to see it. Because I thought it was like, my God, because it's like, if Fangoria was, so people with their heads cut off. So I basically, for me, I went from being the Rambo action guy to going home and playing Cowboys and Indians. I was playing Chase the Monster, imaginary thing. So I would just open those magazines, because there's nothing to watch on TV like that once you had a VHS or watch. So my imagination was it. And to have these magazines in front of me, it just opened it up. And Famous Monsters always had it was like Mad Magazine. It kind of had like the little funny puns, and I can't remember how many I stole from there. My songs before, so yeah, Hooray for Horrorwood.
And the covers, the Go-Go's covers?
Mm-hmm. So I stole most of that stuff. So, but, still, I just took it, oh, that's good, I'll work in a song.
So, because when you think about it, horror and rock, they really kind of go hand in hand in a lot of ways. What is it that you think about the two entirely different genres and types of art? Kind of, what is it about it kind of that they merge together so perfectly?
Well, I mean, there's a history of theater that goes back to that sort of, I would say, spectacle. So I would say the spectacle comes into play in the sense that there's Grand Guignol. I don't think you guys know what that was. There was a theater movement in France that kind of was just all short plays with gore and stuff like that. And so I think within music, if you go back to things like Kiss, for example, or Alice Cooper, obviously, and things like that. I mean, as a kid growing up, you hear about Alice Cooper and cutting heads off, and like, you're just like, what the fuck? Do I want to see this? It's like being on the Midway in a theme park or a fun park and seeing that one ride that nobody goes into. It's got great artwork on the front. You're like, fuck. Do I want to go in there? But nobody's going in there, and you're scared. So I think there's that element to the music. For me, personally, just escaping into a different character or creature was the reason why I kind of pursued it. Allowed me to kind of pursue my greatest, I think, admiration for monsters is pathos. If there's no pathos in a monster, it's not really a good monster. So I think for that, it creates a lot of tension and excitement in live shows. I think for me, music has always been something that you can explore and push boundaries, and I think it definitely pushed into that, because that's kind of, as a society, we're kind of looking for that release, right? And it goes back to Roman times and the spectacle the Colosseum and the bloodletting in a way. It's kind of a release, I think, ultimately.
For both of you, what has been your most memorable performance or memorable moment on stage in front of an audience?
Like good memorable or like
either or. Yeah,
it goes both ways.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My scariest moment on stage ever was like a Twilight moment, so I try to explain to people. So Murder Dolls were on tour with Iron Maiden in 6 weeks to Europe with them, and that sounds great, but it's terrifying because their audience hates guys that look like this, real bad. And we played this festival in Italy, and they said it was 80,000 people there. I couldn't see the end of people. It was just nothing but people outside. And right before we went on stage, Joey says to me, these crowds are kind of crazy here. If they hate you, they're going to throw garbage at us. So just be careful. I'm like, be careful. The intro started. What are you doing? So literally, as soon as the intro started from that first Murder Dolls record, we said dun 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 dun, and then garbage started coming. It's not that much. And then the intro was only 30 seconds. By the time the intro stopped, it was so much garbage on stage. We still had to go out and start the song. By the second or third song, there was so much garbage. People were I'm talking bananas. People were there for 3 days, so they brought bread, loaves of bread. Lord, our drum tech got knocked out with a full can of tuna.
A well-placed one.
Yeah. So, and we were pretty energetic, and so we're like running and like dodging to the audience, like, fuck these motherfuckers. We were just adding it on. It was so terrifying. We had a 40-minute set, and I'm watching. I'm like, oh, it's only 15 minutes in. I'm gonna get hit with a hatchet any moment. So we lasted about 30 minutes, and I'm like, all right, we're done. Murder Dolls, we're done, and we're gonna clap. But it was 60,000 people. But there would be 1,000 people like right here that loved us.
Oh,
I'm like, yeah. And over here, we were just going. What is happening here? So it was the happiest and scariest. Yeah. But we finished it, and I did not get hit with a tomahawk like I thought.
I can go back and forth on things. I can do a self-denigration part of this, or I can tell you even more kind of. I took things to the extreme. Once I thought I had to continue down this road of being a car crash kind of on stage. So I thought my idea was that if people saw me in a vulnerable position or in a situation where I was probably hurting myself, maybe that it would give them, or being hurt, or pushing myself to the place where I could get hurt. I thought that created kind of a positive thing in people, because when I went to race cars, car races when I was young, I always wanted to see a car crash. That's kind of what you go for, right? But then when it happened, I kind of freaked out, and I remember having this feeling. I was really hoping the person was okay. So I kind of thought that cathartic experience would transcend to the performances. But I got to a place where I was literally sticking an ice pick in my arm on one of the tours and continually going deeper and deeper. And the most amazing thing happened for me as a character ogre, was I thought I was doing this and it's what people wanted. And one day in Orlando, I stuck it in and went really deep and just was stuck. And I didn't know if I had an artery, and people could see in the front rows that I was concerned because this was stuck in there. I finished the song, and I went backstage, pulled it out, didn't hit an artery. When I went back to my hotel, I got a call. Somehow they got my phone number at the hotel room, and they called me, and I answered the phone. They said, they were crying, and they said, you don't have to do this for us, which was an amazing gift back to me about that. And so that was a positive, weird experience, being a very surreal time in my life when I was really encased in this character ogre. The most self-denigrating thing we did, and this will be really quick, was we were playing in Sweden at a festival called Pootie in the Park. I don't know what Pootie meant, it was farts in the park or something. I don't know what it was, but it was Pootie in the Park. And we were playing, we were second to headlining on the B stage. And we went up, and who was Final Countdown? Europe. So Europe was headlining on the stage beside us, right after us. And so we set up to play, and we're like, okay, here we go, look at the fucking crowd, right? And it was a hill, so it was a long kind of thing, and then it went downhill behind. So So people are coming up over the hill, and we're like, fuck, they're coming to see us. No, they weren't. They were queuing for Europe. And we had maybe 100 fans that were diehard kids in the front, and we were just like, fuck. And I remember getting off the stage, we did it, it was cool, but you could see people coming up for Europe. They're kind of interested in what we were doing, but they were like, you see them going, no fucking way. Turning around, walking back. See, I remember just going back to my hotel. And the most kind of karmic thing was, I was laying in a bathtub going like, what the fuck am I doing this for? And I heard Final Countdown. Doppler affected, and I was just like, okay, that's karma.
Can you talk a little bit about, I think this is something I've been asked about before for either of you. What is kind of the preparation into going into preparing for a tour, especially if you're being very physical in your performance on stage?
For me, it's a lot of exercise. I do.
I'm on a treadmill or walking at all times. I sit down when it's time to watch Three Stooges or go to sleep. But as far as like before a tour or even when I'm on tour, like I'm still as much of a fan as my favorite bands like Alice Cooper and Kiss and Twisted Sister and Wasp. You will hear those bands on repeat before we go on stage, and I'm playing air guitar, the band's playing air guitar. I'm watching, like, we just played Australia this past year, and I was like, I'm not really feeling, I'm not getting the crowd. I was like, who can I watch? So I looked up some Twisted Sister, D-Snyder videos, and I watched it for like an hour before I went on stage, and I'm like, all right, I want to take that, I'm going to say that, rearrange it, say Australia instead of that. And I went out, and the band was watching me watch the whole thing, and I went out, and I nailed it. And everybody went crazy, and the band was shut like, dude, you got me going after that. Like, you totally nailed that. So I'm still using my influences from these bands that I watched when I was a kid, and now I'm able to go out on stage and channel it. So I'm just soaking it all in. But I'm going to climb my way a little bit.
Let's go ahead and get some audience questions in here. So anyone have a question they'd like? Raise your hand up. We'll get to you.
Favorite clubs to play on the East Coast, like New York, Pennsylvania?
Clubs. I've been able to play a lot of different, but when my band plays, we don't get to play the best clubs. Sometimes we play the little chicken wing shacks. You may know the place Dingbats here in New Jersey.
Good.
Yeah. All right. Not my favorite place to play, but I have a great time every time I play there. And I can always say I sell it out. And to no one that knows that place, man, I sell out Jersey like every time. Every time. It holds 20 people every time.
I have a problem answering that question. So I don't
Good places, and you walk into some venues where there's a mic sitting on a Coca-Cola crate, and some guy just,
hey guys, how you doing?
set the mic there.
Have you ever been to a place where your dressing room is where the ice thing is, and there's a board on the one where they have a leak on the floor or something like that? I mean, there's things like that that you get into. Or when I was in Italy once, I had to take a shower in just an overhead thing. It was a gravity shower, and I had to stand on a 2x4 board on a pit, basically. That's so good. Water.
Similar things exist in Italy too.
And in Europe, in our first tours, I had once where we played in a club that was just a stone. It was like a stone. It was like an old, like medieval stone cabin almost, and there was no toilet. And they brought me back a bucket of cold water to clean all the blood off of. So that was.
I've had the same thing. We played Italy, and we went backstage, and I'm like, well, the bathroom's back there, and I went in, and there was not a toilet, but there was the ground shitters. The hole. And I'm like, what do you do with this?
Squat release.
So I told my guy, I'm like, what are we gonna do? And we took a plastic lawn chair backstage, and he took out his Dremel, and we cut a hole in the center of the plastic chair and put it over the toilet and made a plastic shitter.
And just so you guys know, I mean, we're both aware of this. On buses, I don't know if you know this, on tour buses, you can't poop.
You can.
Well, you can. But if they find out about it, well, you will be charged.
Yes,
you will be charged. And so, the tour buses from the 80s were just opening holes, basically. And, right? And they're horrible. You have to walk in kind of pinch your nose, you know, because then you get this stuff coming back. Now they've got kind of water as a fume barrier in a way, but again, you have to kind of, I mean, you get in the mode of not.
You learn to be an animal.
You learn to be a fucking animal in a cage,
It works. Somehow we love it.
All right, we have another question out there. Make sure you raise your hand. Nice
I got
and
it.
high, okay?
Real quick. I don't think I need the mic. Have you got it?
Everyone wants to hear you.
All right.
Hey, how are you? Guys, thank you. Both great live. I've seen you both a couple different times. Oaks, I'm hoping that we can get a chance to see you out there sometime in the future, aside from Skinny Puppy wrapping everything up. Any plans?
Yeah, I do. I'm working on a record right now with Paul Barker from Ministry and our old producer Dave Ogilvy from Skinny Puppy, and I'm super excited about that. And, I think I'm going to try and do a retrospective tour, God willing. That'll be kind of Skinny Puppy stuff that we haven't performed. My partner kind of got to a place where he only wanted to perform a certain set list and he's continually played the same songs tour after tour after tour. It's slight variations and stuff, but we never really entered into some other catalog that I like to kind of pursue. So I want to try and do that, and then some film work if I can too. That's my goal. You know?
Looking forward to it. Thanks.
And speaking of film work, so you both have performed in front of the camera. What is that like transitioning over into doing acting as well as performing?
I've yet to. I just
I can only self-denigrate here, which I will. So with me, because I work on stage, and everything I learned, I worked with a mask company when I was younger, and everything is big gestures, right? They're just large gestures, large expressions, and everything. When you start to work in film, you realize that the camera's right here, and its minuscule expressions show up like large. And so the hardest thing for me in that was kind of bringing things down a little bit, and not. I think somebody pointed out to me on 2001 Maniacs that like stop mugging so much. I was like, ooh, okay. I was totally reacting to everything and kind of you learn these lessons. And I was watching Lynn Shay, who's an incredible character.
I'm still really nervous after 20-some years of doing videos, and I blame it all on the TV show Dawson's Creek. So my band Murder Dolls were offered to be on the TV show Dawson's Creek in 2002. The producer loved the band, and it was filmed in North Carolina. I live in North Carolina, so I was able to take a family trip and drive down. And so I've never even watched the show. I watched 90210, I watched Melrose Place, I didn't because I was busy, I was doing stuff, I was doing the band. And so we get there, and it's a Halloween party, and they're trying to explain the storyline to us, and we don't understand what's going on. We're like, you're over here playing, and Dawson is over here having a conversation with this, but we need you guys, you're in the background, so we need you guys to be pretending like you're playing, but you can't have any music playing. And I'm like, what? So we gotta pretend like we're playing? Now what about, and there's an audience in front of us, and they gotta pretend like they can hear you. So the audience is faking they can hear music, and we have to pretend that we're faking it too. And this is like my the second time in front of a camera. I'm nervous as fuck. So I'm like, how am I gonna do this? So we were trying to do it, nothing was working right, and then they give us these little earpieces, these little hidden earpieces, so we can actually hear the song. And so we're miming to the song in our ear, and no one can hear it. So imagine I'm playing one of my songs and like I'm rocking out, and you were hearing nothing. But you gotta pretend like you're rocking out. So I had to face people singing my song like this is so dumb. This is so embarrassing. And we get through one take, a cut, okay, do it again. And we're finally getting into it, finally getting it good. And my daughter at the time was 3.5, and I brought her there to the set, and she's sitting over there in the corner kind of watching the whole thing. And we finally get through one take, and I'm like, God, I finally nailed it. And right before they yell cut, my daughter goes, Daddy! She's a little country girl, she calls me Daddy. Daddy! And they're like, cut! And they ruined the whole cut. And we're like, and we did it again, and then she ruined it again. And I was like, look, your daughter's adorable, she's gotta get fucked. as I said, I had this complex about it. Yeah, like the camera just freaks me out. But that is the scariest thing. I don't know if it sounds that weird to you guys. Just imagine trying to sing a song to someone that's in your head and you can't hear it. But you gotta act like you hear it.
A weird form of schizophrenia.
It was and then my daughter, they sent her out, and that Katie Holmes girl drove her around on a golf cart for an hour. Yeah, she thought, yeah, she pretty much did.
All right, we have time for one more question. Anyone have a really good question like that? Right there.
What do you think of Motley Crue without Mick Mars?
Motley Crue without Mick Mars. Obviously, a big Motley Crue fan, I probably would not look like this. But, I mean, they've been around forever. I'm surprised that they have been able to stay together this long with the members that they had. I'm a Motley Crue fan. I can't talk bad on anything of them. Mick has been awesome to me. He played on Murder Dolls record, did two songs on it, played guitar on it. Nikki's been super cool to me. And with that, I mean, and John Clyde's a great guitar player. He's a good friend of mine as well. But to me, I don't know how to answer your question. I love Mick. I wish he was in the band. I wish it was the way it was. I wish they wouldn't have aired their dirty laundry, because no one wants to hear your favorite band's fight. So I just try to pretend that stuff doesn't happen. But to me, Motley Crue is always going to be Mick Mars. So.
You want to get one more in here? Anyone else have another question? One really good one. I think you're kind of sort of raising your hand right there.
Hey, nobody else wants it? One more for Ogre.
There you go.
Hey, back when during the Guantanamo days and government was using your music to torture people or other people, did
That makes sense.
I know, right? Did that ever did you guys get?
So there was a point in time in Guantanamo where they were using music to torture people, and we found out that they were using one of our songs, Heaven's Trash, but they weren't using a digital copy from the album, they were using a bootleg copy. And so we decided, which is probably way noisier and way more horrendous to listen to for the poor fucker who was put in that position to listen to it. So we decided we were going to make an album called Weapon, and which we did, and we were going to incorporate it a lot further, but we did send out a letter. We had some contacts in the military. We worked with the Veterans Administration on the Greater Roma Right on depleted uranium in Iraq, and tried to bring light to a lot of that and what was happening to a lot of service people over there with the burn pits and everything like that. So we had good contacts with the military, and we got a contact to send a letter of we basically said we were going to sue them for $666,000 for that, and then send it to the military, to the proper channels for PTSD. And so we did that, we sent it in, and then for some reason, which I still don't understand, the story went viral, our first thing that ever went viral. And we got a lot of, Alex Jones was the first person to reach out to me for an interview. Thank God I didn't do that. And I ended up doing an interview on it for Russia Today, which again, it was for
I saw that.
Abby Martin. I was just so. I think Abby and I had a little crush on each other a little bit, because she sent a card for me, and she came to the show afterwards, and I had a crush on her, but I kind of was like, I ran away because I was scared.
I think that's one of the first things I asked you about when I met you.
It was really cool. I did that one interview and realized that it could have been used in a way as an anti-U.S. government thing, that we were being used as a prop in a way. And so it was very strange. It was a very strange thing that happened. And we only got one kind of reply from the government saying it was through BBC, and they said that they can neither confirm nor deny receiving our letter.
Well, I want to thank you both for being here today and for being part of Famous Monsters this weekend. And it's always a pleasure talking to both of you. So,
and thank you all for coming out too. You guys